All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 4, consideration of the treasurer's report. Arion.
Hello. Well, like in April, I have 2 again. I wanted to thank you for allowing me to spend time with my daughter while she was having her letter. So, but moving on, the first treasurer's report is for the period ending April 30th. So this is our entire fiscal year activity. However, this is part of your audit adjustments. They'll be here next week. Hope to have our audit in September like we presented in September last year. So that's what the timing is, and then at that point, that's when the books will close, once they've finalized everything and reviewed, and that's going to be the final year-end balances, and we'll have a good discussion at that time. So for year-to-date performance, it looks like we did pretty well. The only thing I wanted to highlight was the TIF 5, which is Fund 19 on that list. It's in the negative, and this is the same thing that happened, or this is the same thing that's happened to TIF 4 when it was first started, until we get that increment property tax receipt. It's going to be running in the negative because we have to pay some bills prior to receiving any money there. So, but Water Sewer Fund actually did pretty well prior to year adjustments. And for the revenues, everything looked pretty good except for the, I wanted to highlight the reimbursement and restitution. We got a quarterly reimbursement from our QC Meg, our undercover officer, as well as Rock Island Island School District's property tax rebates, which I was excited to see that came in April, and so we don't have, that's one less out of debt that we have to do. So if we turn over to the next page, on the expenditures, we had a garbage truck purchase, and the payments to other funds for the $33,000 was our monthly pension funding payment, and you will see in May that we did not do that for the month of May because we haven't passed the appropriations ordinance yet. I also wanted to highlight the other professional services for 0140-2380 in the amount of $24,000. $13,000 of that was the animal control payment. And then the other big one was miscellaneous expenses for $23,000. That was for the property taxes for 435 East First Street, as well as 701 West 11th Street. The 435 taxes, the tax bill was sent over to our tenant, and I just have not, we have not received payment of that, or up until now. So
Where's that? Next door.
Yeah. So I'll probably send a follow-up email within the next couple of days to just to remind them that that needs to be paid.
Please.
So, oh, and then also with the maintenance utility system for $21,000, that was all of our fire hydrant replacements and repairs. That was the professional services part. That was equipment trucking. That didn't include the actual hydrants and the parts themselves. That was just for the professional side of it. Bank balances are looking pretty good. I did do a transfer from our Illinois funds to our pooled cash to make sure that our pooled cash claim from the general fund was in the positive prior to year end. Therefore, there was a little bit of a drop in the Illinois funds, but it was just transferred over to the Blackhawk Bank and Trust. So total held at Blackhawk Bank and Trust was $11,581,861.27. And total in Illinois funds, $12,876,988.54. So total cash for equivalent as of April 30th, 2026, $24,458,849.01.
On the taxes, again, for next who's name? So the tax bill comes to
Village
us.
of Milan, and then we send it over to them, and then they pay us,
Okay.
they reimburse us. And
So what's the amount?
that was $3/4, so it's probably, I think the 701 West 11th was only, like, it was minimal, like $500. So
No,
this
I
would
mean
be-
next door.
So that's what I mean, so the 23,487, it was probably about 22,000.
22,000. So we're getting charged interest,
A loss of interest.
date link.
Correct.
So please make sure
I'll follow up with them.
they pay that interest.
Oh, the interest as well?
We shouldn't have to pay it.
No, we can use, in arrears, we can charge them the interest on the late pay.
Okay. As long as I'm authorized to do that?
You are.
Okay.
Interest on 22,000 per day adds up quick. And the tax bills in our name,
That was June 10th that was due.
June 10th,
Yeah,
every single day.
yeah.
You usually, on that type of arrangement, I have to reread the lease contract. I think it's considered in arrears at 30 days, but we might be able to charge the interest before that. We'll see.
Do we need to approve this?
Well, we will,
You gonna do
yeah.
them both?
No, we'll approve one at a time. We'll do April's first.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
but
about.
anybody else got any questions for Ariana?
I think you're-
No? Okay. If there's any, don't have any more questions?
That's it.
Hey, Karen?
Oh, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. If there isn't any more questions for Ariana, then I'll make a motion to approve April's treasurer's report. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll show due May.
I'll do May. And May is really boring. I was actually reading through trying to find some things to talk about with May. Because we do cash to accrual accounting, you'll see with our payable summaries, we've had fiscal year 26 and FY 27 payables for each payable cycle in May and June. So because of this, there's not a lot of activity. However, our fiscal year to date for our general fund is already 264,000 ahead, which is good. Water and sewer, as usual, is in arrears, and it's just because that bond payment next year is our final payment correct. May of 27, which is for fiscal year 28. So that'll be the last time that water sewer will technically be in arrears right from the get-go. So our top 10 general fund revenues of May did not include a municipal utility tax payment. However, if you look at the bank statements, they're 529. So because of that timing, I think that we'll have two in June. So it'll be one at the beginning and then one at the end of June. Municipal utility tax. And then on the second page of our expenses, once again, because of the cash to accrual, we had very little expense activity, and it was just the bond payments for the water sewer bond, and then as well as the bond interest payment for our 2018 expansion bond. Bank balances, $10,979,527.45 in our Jackal Bank and Trust accounts, and $13,471,630.84 in our Illinois funds. So total cash or equivalent as of May 31st, 2026, $24,451,158.29.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on May's treasury's report?
I make a motion that we accept it.
A second.
Okay, motion been made second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Ariana.
So stay before Ariane lays in, we don't need to give her permission to do that interest on the taxes?
No,
Okay.
we have the discussion here, we have authority to do it, and as long as there isn't a stipulation that covers it in the lease, and I can't remember if there is, then we'll charge.
Okay.
If you could please provide something in writing so that
I
I have
sure will.
something to
Yep.
give to the auditors next
Yep.
year. All right, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better.
If I can too, share one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Typically by year end is the period when some of our routine revenues, we've collected the entire year's worth of revenue. And so typically you get into that April-May cycle, and the revenues compared to the regular cash flow during the year kind of suffer a little bit until you start getting property tax receipts in June. And to be able to finish out the year with this type of cash balance and cash flow, This is an enviable position for a smaller community to be in. So, kudos.
Thanks, Ariane. Okay, number 5, consideration of the semi-monthly and miscellaneous bills. Doug?
Okay, the regular payables for FY '26 for this period were $70,342, $300.42. The FY '27 regular payables for this period were $190,307.78 for a total of $260,608.20. The top 5 highest ones are Illinois Quad City Communications Center for QCOM, that's $84,713. That's our quarterly payment. I think it's quarterly. Mid-American is, for gas and electric, is $13,247.31. Seneca Corporation, that's part of the fuel equipment for the Public Works, $12,939.58. B&B Drain Tech repair at 526 29th Avenue West, $12,500. And Utility Equipment Company for parts, $11,700. And before Dan asked, I don't know what parts those are.
How'd you know I was gonna ask?
Well, that's
I was gonna ask.
I knew you were gonna say that's a lot of money for parts.
That is a lot of money for parts. I assume it's probably for that parts bin
Yes.
thing that they
Yeah,
they probably replenish that or something at the wastewater. I don't know. That's just a guess.
I should have asked Gibby, but anyway.
What's the
Is there any question? Oh, I'm sorry.
drain tech?
Yeah.
What's the drain tech bill for?
Well, that couldn't be
There was a,
culvert?
the Drain Tech one, there was some damage to, well, it had to do with work on a property that we did.
Yeah, I don't know. We can find out.
What's the address?
526 29th Avenue West. For whatever reason, it was determined that the village needed to take care of the problem. Now, whether it was directly in the residence or whether it was outside, whether it was a line that would ordinarily have been that reached the
Sewer backup.
yeah, something in that area that the village determined was that they had culpability or whatever you want to say. I don't know all the details, but I did read that part of it, so. Any others?
It's up by Benny's,
What,
so down, up
Hill-
by Benny's.
Up in Hillcrest someplace?
Yeah,
That would have been that amount for
it's a,
jetting somebody's
it's
sewer?
a big
okay,
expense.
so I don't think we would speculate any further than that, but it had to do with personal residence, and the village took care of it, but I don't, as far as whether it was a sewer line or whatever, I got.
We'll check with Kevin
Yeah.
Farrell and find out.
Because if it was on the property, that's a different,
Can you just like maybe send a text out? let us
Yeah,
know?
we'll send a text,
Something more?
and I don't know, it would be speculation if it was a problem with our service
Yeah,
or the lateral coming out from the home. I don't know.
I'm
And
just thinking-
sometimes what has
They're
happened
charging
is
that for a lateral, man, I don't want mine to.
they'll first try to do the lateral, and then after that is cleared and the homeowner still has the problem, then they notify us.
Right.
Depending on the circumstances, sometimes, you know, the better option, honestly, for most homeowners is that they contact the city first, and we determine if there's something affecting one or more houses, and we can clear that. But there are kind of extenuating circumstances.
So if that's the case, I take it this is one of those houses that didn't get the insurance.
Don't know. Well, whoever it is, somebody sent us a bill.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, if
I mean-
that's all it takes.
Hopefully it's not.
I can pull the bill, but I don't think it has any more, it doesn't have any more specifics than what I told you, so.
Yeah, and there's not enough room on these to give you specifics either. It's just,
Yeah.
you gotta give as much information as they can on a situation on that too. You and I, you were talking about one of those before, they needed to abbreviate something a little bit more so you can understand it when you do the bills. So, but I've been on these too, like you said, I've watched the lateral, and the city put a camera down there because the homeowner had an issue with it, but our sewer line was clear. So it was determined that it was on the homeowner's end of the situation. So it could have been that too, but the question of the amount is questionable too, yeah.
Looks like,
It wouldn't cost us the camera that either.
no,
Okay,
well, dang.
Yeah, we'll look into it. Okay, Doug?
If there's no other questions, no other items, I would make a motion that we pay our bills this period in the amount of $260,608.20.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made, second, we'll have a roll call vote on that, please, Michelle.
Dan Schomer.
Yes.
Doug Humphrey.
Yes.
Dan Verbeck.
Yeah.
Jody Lee.
Yes.
Karen Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, let's pay the bills, thank you. Okay, number 6, consideration of a resolution 26-4 authorizing the Milan Police Department to apply for a ICJIA grant funding to procure live scan fingerprint equipment. Met with the chief today and got a little more information about this. This is a grant they're going together with Co-Valley and Silvis that they're applying for, the 3 of them. So when they arrest someone, they can digitally fingerprint these people, so when they turn them over to the county, and now they're put in the system. So if they don't do this, as far as with the ink, it's smeary. With the digital, if it's not taken, you can turn right around and retake it. So this is a better way of getting an exact fingerprint. And then so when they go over to the county and lock them over, they arrest them for, now they got them in the system. Before, it was smudgy or whatever, and they had to do it over again. And if they didn't do it, then they would go into the Rockingham County, and then they would get let loose. And then when they had to get a better fingerprint, they had to go find a guy. So this eliminates them having to go find somebody after they've had them already in custody once. And so that's what the new way of these guys going to jail and getting out real quick anymore with this new, whatever you call that is. This is better. Safety Act. This is a better way, the chief says, that they can get these people fingerprinted, and these, you never know who they fingerprint might be wanted for someplace in another state. So this is a good thing for criminals to catch them right as soon as we can and not let them slip through the cracks. So Co-Valley, Silvis, and Milan are the only people that don't have this right now. So this is what he's asking for, and consider this resolution to go ahead after this grant funding. So I just would, if you have any other questions about that, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution 26-4.
I'll make that motion that we approve
Second.
resolution 26.
Okay, a motion been made and second to approve resolution 26-4. Do that with a voice vote. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. I couldn't see the chief being here, and when I could done that myself, so. Okay, number 7, here's something right now. She says sign right now. Okay, number 7, consideration of a Class 1 liquor license application for the Rock Island Milan Youth, which is the Milan Harvest Festival. We think we do this every year, don't we, Steve, with the festival?
Yes.
Yeah, this is pretty routine, so they can serve liquor down there. They get their own dram shot insurance, I would imagine.
Yes.
And that, so,
I don't have any problem with issuing them that. Problem I got is how they got a sports youth thing on there. Why do we have to have it listed as that?
maybe that's the original title they gotta go by, got me.
I don't know if it's for insurance purposes.
Could be. This is probably the name, she knows, she's shaking her head. This is probably the
Because
whole
that's the
title.
actual,
Yeah,
like,
the-
that's the actual, like, LLC or
Yeah.
their corporation name, so that's how it has to be.
Make it legal. Okay. So if I.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion been made and second for the consideration of Class 1 liquor license for the Milan Harvest Festival for the youth sports teams. I'll do a voice vote on that. Is motion made, and is there a second?
Jody
Jody
seconded.
Jody second it? Okay. All in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Jody's got a soft voice.
Sometimes.
Don't make her run it.
I like this one you got now. Okay, number 8, consideration to authorize Administrator Stivers to sign loan documents from the IEPA for the wastewater treatment plant. And we all know what this is. We have these documents we have to sign in an outline, one after another, that's due at a certain time and date. And this is to give Steve authorization to sign those. Anybody have any questions for Steve on that?
I make that motion that we authorize Steve.
Would it be better to have two people?
You already designated to Illinois EPA that my name is on file as who will be executing on behalf of the village. So they're expecting it to be my
I think
signature.
maybe it would be better to have the mayor and you.
Yeah. The mayor can sign in my absence, but the one that the Illinois EPA asked for was my name. I take no pride in that, but that's
So-
pushing paper.
So is this something that we already previously done with you then?
Well,
Yeah.
there's two parts to this.
Oh.
We've had a number of different things that we've passed and enacted and taken it step by
Yeah.
step, and including the application for the funding. So this is simply, it designates that I'm going to be signatory to it. But the real thing is, this is the culmination. This is where the city puts its John Henry on and obligates itself to borrowing and repaying with interest, borrowing up to $45 million and receiving a forgivable loan for $11,250,000 of that, and repaying the balance of it at a 30-year borrowing at 1.42% interest. And so this is really the largest single financial transaction that the village has ever had. So it's not whether or not
That
you're
way, if
telling
we
me
don't
to
pay the
sign
bill,
it.
we don't come after you.
Yeah, that's right, I'm the one that, but, the real thing is, it's like, don't focus on the wrong thing. The real thing is you're okaying going forward with the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
And always in the past, for all of you who haven't been here before, Steve's always had to sign these because they're looking for one signature.
Oh, makes sense.
And someone who's here
To me, it does.
every day
Yeah.
when he's come across, so for decades, his name's always been on that, so it's nothing new. Just to give you an FYI on it.
So, so do we still have to put that into a form of motion then?
We have a motion and a second. We're to
Okay.
discussion now.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to field any questions on it. You've got the packet. Again, I just mentioned some of the key numbers on it. If we go through this and the project costs what the bids have come in at, and there'll be change orders and there's some incidentals and some things like that. But as we spend on eligible items, you'll see those numbers, you'll see a recommendation from the engineering firm that they've reviewed it and they recommend payment, and you'll okay that it be paid, and then it'll be sent off to Illinois EPA that will send us that amount. So we're never out of pocket the money, but we're legally on the hook to pay it. So there's a slight distinction. We won't get the money until we jump through all of Illinois EPA hoops. But we're still signing a contract with Williams Brothers, for their price was $41,640,000. I think I may be wrong on the number. Plus, and that was the base bid, and then there are a number of other items that are line item expenses. So, the total payment to them will come in probably north of $42 million by the time the project is done.
So you made that motion?
I did.
Yeah.
And I'll second.
And you second. Okay, we'll have a roll call on that vote, please, Michelle.
Doug Humphrey.
Yes.
Dan Burbuck.
Yeah.
Jody Lee. Yes.
Karen Wilson.
Yes.
Dan Schomer.
Yes.
Okay, so Steve can sign this paper, which is very important, make Eric one of those sign and get him in on time, I like what he's doing a good job doing that too. Number 9, consideration of a notice to award to William Brothers construction of the wastewater treatment plant. This kind of coincides with number 8. This is our awarding in the actual bid, and they're the ones who are gonna be doing the work. Anybody have any questions for Steve on that?
At the last meeting, we issued a notice of intent to issue. And now that we have, and that was necessary to get the Illinois EPA to sign the document. This is in your packet from agenda item number 8. And it's the transmittal letter from the director. And if you flip on back to the actual agreement itself, he has signed that. And then we simply have to, with your, authority that you gave in number 8, we'll sign and return it. And so now that we know that it's secured, we can tell our contractor that he's officially on the clock.
And we'll be working with local building trades.
Yes, yep.
With an impact agreement on top of
Yes,
that.
impact agreement.
Yes.
Couldn't think of what it was
Yep.
called.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've already worked with the people from the impact agreement. And our contractor has plenty of experience with impact projects.
Well, it was written in the contract. I mean, it was part of.
We specified that it was going to
part of
be.
the bid.
Yep.
So,
Okay, anybody have any questions on number 9? I'll look for a motion to approve the award to William Brothers Construction for the wastewater treatment plant.
I'll make a motion.
second,
Okay, motion been made and second. I'll have a roll call on that, please, too, Michelle.
Dan Verbeck.
Yes.
Jody Lee.
Yes.
Karen Wilson.
Yes.
Dan Schomer.
Yes.
Doug Humphrey.
yes.
Okay. Okay, number 10, committee reports. Dan Verbeck,
Nothing.
nothing? Jody?
Nothing.
The whisperer.
Nothing.
Nothing? Jerry's not here, of course. Dan Schomer.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, how about you, Doug?
Nope.
Okay. Along with that, committee reports here, I'm going to read, ask Steve to have, if he has any new information on the village projects, since we have so many going, that he wants
Yeah.
to
Yes, I do.
bring us up to speed before we go to the citizens.
I already got it, Karen.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have, coincidentally. In the intended use plan that Illinois EPA puts out, it is for their fiscal year, and their year runs from July 1 through June 30th. So we're wrapping up 1 year. Our funding for the wastewater treatment plant comes from this current year. That's why we have to have the paperwork authorized and signed by June 30th. For next year, we submitted the Rainbow Ridge Water Association project at an estimated $1.6 million. The good news is it is included in the preliminary intended use plan for the fiscal year starting July 1, the state year. And they have it in for the entire loan amount. But we're also asked for loan forgiveness under 2 different programs. And these are monies that trickle down from the federal government, and there are requirements on how they are funded. So much has to go into each of the buckets all the way down. The one bucket that funds the forgiveness programs, the previous year had been at a little bit over $33 million statewide. That bucket is now $11 million this year. So it's
It's half
1/3.
full.
It's 1/3 of where we need it to be at. And so the 2 combined under last year's funding would have been eligible for 100% of the project. So that's what we've been talking to council about, and that's the presentations that we've made to the residents of Rainbow Ridge, and also to the adjoining property coming in off of 107th Avenue, which is Mill Creek additions 1 and 2. And we've had the meeting out at the Camden Center recently and said, at that time, that was late May, and we said, hey, we're now waiting on hold until we see what the state does as far as funding levels. We have that piece. So it's probably one of the worst scenarios you could come up with, because Had we gotten all the money, it would have been easy. Had we gotten none of the money, it would have been easy, and we got in between, okay? So now we're looking at ways that, how can the most bang for the buck, how can we get the most out of the project and still move it forward, or do we put it on hold for next year? Last year was an anomaly, and there was much more funding that came down for these categories of programs. As a matter of fact, statewide, there was $100 million more that came to the state of Illinois this year than last year, but all of that money, actually a little more than that amount, about $112 million, was specifically earmarked for the lead service line replacement programs statewide. So some of the other programs did okay, and some of them took big hits. And so the funding that we were going after is one of the ones that got hit hard. So we can get money, but not enough to pay the full price. So we talked with residents from, actually the board from Rainbow Ridge Water Association and our engineers this morning. Spent about 3 hours with them going through what the conditions and what the options are. I won't try to fill you in on all of that tonight, but simply be aware that I'd say it's in jeopardy, but it's not dead. So it's something that as we got to it, I think there's some viable things that we could do in which they would actually pay higher water rates than Milan residents. And as long as we can recover virtually all of the additional repayment over 30 years, the money would come from Illinois EPA, but the hitch is Milan is on the hook for repaying it. The difference between the project costs and the loan forgiveness, okay, is kind of like our sewer treatment plant didn't get 100% funding, we got 25%. Well, this would be a reduced amount as well, but it would not, the primary amount of money that needs to be made up would come from a different billing rate for the residents of Rainbow Ridge, because under this scenario, they would be paying out of city rates. And that generates the money to do it. So that, there's a lot of research that we have to do so that we understand if there are any legal ramifications that pop up, and to make sure that we understand any liability that the city is assuming. Because we don't want to get into it and find that we're on the hook without a way to recover the bond and interest repayment.
Yeah, that's, I don't know what their reaction was from the board. My impression at that meeting that we had was mixed. Bordering on indifference, or
Yeah,
I don't know if they're.
And there's two different audiences here, because who we met with today was strictly the Rainbow Ridge Water Association members. Who the last meeting was primarily for was the adjoining subdivision, which isn't under any kind of threat from Illinois EPA, but they're still they have all the disadvantages of being on an older, two different well associations, neither of which, those are under the Illinois Department of Public Health, not through Illinois EPA. And so they may be able to skate along for some time, but there's still a lot of advantages that if it is paid for by someone, which the grant had some hope to do, that has evaporated. There's no sign that there's an advantage to hold off a year, because I quite frankly don't think that the scenario is probably any better next year, and your construction costs probably will have gone up. So we're looking at, are there ways for them to guarantee payment so the village is not on the hook? And that includes what happens if somebody defaults. And so those are the scenarios that we're going through right now. And it won't be
Sounds
universal.
like they're not gonna have any choice
Well, the problem doesn't go away for the Rainbow Ridge Water Association, but if it's voluntary and they can't get enough people to sign on, then they're stuck, they can't go forward with our project, and they don't have a plan B.
So what does the Illinois EPA, all right, they've already put these people on notice.
Yes,
Okay, so now they've entered in due diligence, they've entered into talks with the village, which is a positive thing. And now, for possibly good reasons or whatever, there's hesitation. I would think that the Illinois EPA would say, now wait a minute, at what point, they have to weigh,
Yes.
the possibility that the EPA will say, this was your first strike, now you're gonna get another strike.
yes. Yeah.
It's too bad.
So if the project were pared down to eliminate the benefit for the other addition, Mill Creek, which is not in a compliance problem now. If it was pared down, then you would have some of the people, it looks like the same addition when you drive in. You'd have the people out front who would receive no benefit from the project directly, and the people in the back that would, but it would cost us less. And for that, there would be about just about $18,100 a year in principal and interest repayment to Illinois EPA over a 30-year period. And we've told them that substantially all of that, even it may not balance to the penny, but essentially that's the amount of revenue that we have to be able to generate from you to be able to go to the council and say, it's not costing Milan taxpayers or Milan water and sewer users anything extra. Or we have to see enough advantage in the project by deferred expense, because we are getting water lines paid for, which otherwise would be at our cost. So now the 6-inch water line that runs back and only serves the neighborhood is of value only to that neighborhood. But the 12-inch line that comes down Knoxville Road allows us for future growth and expansion. That's part of the what has been identified in prior comprehensive plans. I imagine probably it will be in this one, Dave, that calls for extending utility service to our growth area to the southeast. So that 12-inch water line has a value to the city. And by going ahead with the project, we're getting it substantially discounted to get that 12-inch line. A lot of it is paid for and forgiven by the state of Illinois. So this is, it's not an easy one. We don't need a decision on it today. We have some things we have to check, but I wanted to report on it because, it's not them that's holding the contract. It's not them that would get the grant or hold the construction paperwork or anything. It is the Village of Milan project that you will have to decide whether you go forward with or not, and under what circumstances.
Did the engineers have an estimate of the drop-off in cost if you just did Rainbow Ridge as opposed to the whole?
Around $500,000 was their estimate, yeah. So it's between 1.1 and 1.2 million to do it stripped down and not pay for bringing everybody in and all the kind of the ancillary things that would benefit the Mill Creek residents, and for not extending the 12-inch water line to the south of the project on Knoxville Road. And that's what would get it down to a debt service, principal and interest repayment of 18.1% with loan forgiveness. That's the cheapest that we can expect to do the project for, is $18,100 annually. Now, for those homeowners, what it does is relieve about $65 a month that per household that the Rainbow Ridge neighborhood is paying right now for their water service. So they have close to $1,000 a year that they're already paying for water, and that is offset by what they would be paying the village of Milan for out-of-city rates. So it's not all an additional cost to them. There's some, they definitely benefit by a more reliable system. They have fire hydrants. They don't lose water every time the power goes out. They don't have older equipment, which, they could cost them tens of thousands of dollars at the next time lightning strikes. So there's a lot of benefits to them, and we said that's fine.
They also would receive garbage and snow plowing? and
Not,
stuff?
not
No?
if they're paying the out-of-city rates, then we have, that means they're not annexed into the village. But by having an annexation agreement, sometimes it's called a pre-annexation agreement, that means that at such time that the village can and chooses to take them in, they have already given irrevocable permission to be annexed in by the village. We don't have to ask them, the village council, either in the near-term future or 10, or maybe at the end of the 30 years, whenever a council decides to bring them in and they're adjoining the village, they touch our boundaries, then the village board could choose to exercise that annexation agreement.
And the geography on that is important. And the first parcel between the village and most of that gentleman is not interested. So he's a roadblock kind of to being able to take them in.
And so this avoids that issue.
Right, because they wouldn't be in the back, because we can't.
We can't, and so therefore, the village doesn't have the expense of picking up the garbage, of maintaining the streets, of plowing the streets, of providing police protection. We wouldn't have any of those expenses, which the residents would be paying a few $100s a year to the village for. So we don't make money on our residential additions off the property tax. There are benefits to it. We get a little bit of additional motor fuel tax, and, some things like that. But if you look at it strictly from the water and sewer utility, it is an enterprise fund, and it's more advantageous for the water and sewer to sell them at out-of-city rates than it is to sell them for in-city rates. So I didn't mean to hijack the agenda tonight, but this is fresh as of this morning, and it's something we're going to have to grapple with over about the next 6 weeks, and then it'll be decision time.
So we'll have to make an agenda item out of,
Eventually.
yeah.
What would their options be if Milan did nothing?
Much more expensive than
They
going
would
with
have to drill
Milan.
their own,
They,
get their own water
and they would have to have a water supply, they would have to have backup generator capacity. Right now, they have a bladder-style tank below ground. They have rusty, nasty water if it draws down too far because they're getting the stuff off the bottom of the tank. They don't have fire protection. They're not in a good situation, and they've been cited. But when you ask people, and they have, we do not have the direct contact. We've said that's your business to test the barometer of your residents. We'll hold informational meetings. We'll have our engineer explain the project, but we're not going to try to sell your neighborhood on the advantages of coming on. And I think for the most part, they've been very respectful of that. But I don't see that they have a good option. It will cost them more to do it any other way, which is why the Illinois EPA was trying to steer them to coming in on Milan's system.
I don't even think they can drill a new well either, can they?
They can do it if they Yeah, and they have to have separation from their septic tanks.
Yeah, right, yeah.
They have to have storage, they have to have, generators. It's very, very costly. And that's your supply side.
Yeah.
That's before you even get into, getting it to the houses, and it still doesn't necessarily get you fire hydrants or anything
Or
else.
any better water.
Or any, I mean, it's always a crapshoot to drill a well, as far as what it's gonna produce. And you have some idea of what your water quality is gonna be, because the well drilling companies know what aquifer you're going to hit. So you got an idea.
It seems, it's very disappointing that they were put on a critical list by the EPA, and the EPA comes up short. It's just like, okay, we need you to do this and get that well fixed, and we'll put you on the list, but we're gonna pull the rug out from under you anytime we want.
They dangle something
Yeah.
and then they go.
You know, and the sad thing about that is you really couldn't even sell your house. Who would want to buy that headache?
Yeah, it's hanging over your
Property
head.
values have dropped big time.
Yeah.
I can't see a choice with them. I mean, I think they're gonna have to get on board with it.
I mean, if they had to drill a well
We're
and
gonna have to do
and
something.
they'd have to redo everything
Can't
out there,
leave
they
it out
would just
there.
have to assess each house, $20,000 or
Yeah.
whatever it is to
Give
cover
a
the
special
cost.
assessment.
You
Their
know,
association.
Like Rock Island does.
well,
And
I got a
ironically,
daughter that lives out 67 out in Ebert's Edition, and they have a well. If something happens to that well,
she gets
which has
tagged.
happened in the past, they assess each household a certain amount of money.
Right.
My daughter at one time had to come up with $6,000 to cover a big expense
Wow,
for that well,
wow.
you know?
And they know they're on borrowed time
Yeah.
with the old
Yeah.
equipment that they have.
Right, they have to put chlorine tablets in the well and everything else to keep it compliant with the EPA.
So I think it's gonna take a while for it to simmer and gel with the neighborhood. But I don't see that they have a better option.
No, I think we should.
Are they in communication with the Illinois EPA also?
Oh,
On a regular basis?
they were up until the point when we took the project over and entered into contract with the engineers. Because they got it to a certain point where they got preliminary estimates and design, then we've taken it over because we're the only ones that Illinois EPA would sign on the dotted line. It's a very similar process to what we just did.
Yeah, understood, but the Illinois EPA will be able to give them information, maybe give them some long-term suggestions about what they ought to be doing.
Yeah, and we know what that's gonna be, and that is sign up with Milan.
100%.
So our next, is the set aside for the next year, that deadline, it hasn't come and gone yet, or is that gonna be our deadline?
Well, approximately July 1, so we're within a couple of weeks of the state taking this preliminary intended use and making it the final adopted. We expect the numbers to stay the same. The only thing we'll find out now with the new one is last year, the one we just signed up for, the base interest rate was 1.62%. That might change a little bit. It's not gonna have a lot of difference, it might be up or down a little bit. So, but the city ultimately is the one that will either move forward with the project or pull the rug out from under them. I don't mean that in a negative way, but if we deem there is no acceptable way for the city to accept funding because there's no defined way that we'll get paid back, then the council will be the one and not the homeowners on whether or not this project goes through. Now, they would still obviously have to make their individual, I'm not talking about the association, I'm talking about the individual homeowners. They'll still have to make the decision if they'll go along and connect to Milan under Milan's terms and conditions and become our customer. But what's their option? Because the Illinois EPA, one of their conditions is the Rainbow Ridge Water Association has to go away. The well has to be The engineer uses the term abandoned, I like decommissioned or whatever, because it's a process of, you know, filling it in, grouting it, and pulling out the equipment and, you know, and officially closing down the well. And so, at that point, those people don't have private wells, and they have no water supply. And if we go ahead with the project and put the water line down, then individually, the Rock Island County Health Department, if there is a public water supply, they will give a well permit in a rural addition if there is an accessible water supply. So we really would be, if we go ahead and put the line in, we would be their only choice. And the way that it was most beneficial for us is not to annex them, because we can't charge a Milan customer, even if they're a brand-new Milan customer, a different water rate than we can charge the rest of the city. But if we don't take them in, we can charge them for an out-of-city rate, and therefore generate twice the revenue with that earmarked towards repaying the EPA loan. So we'll run numbers, we'll validate our assumptions, test them against statutes and what we can and can't do, but we looked at options of special service areas. Well, you can only create a special service area in Illinois. A municipality can only do it for properties that are in the village. So when you have this hodgepodge of voluntary annexations, say you had 2/3 of them annexed, but a third of them that were dragging their feet, you could only create the special service area for the 2/3. Now, later on, if your other 1/3 want to come aboard, they're not part of the special service district, you know. So there's the logistics of all this, and this has to be straightened out, and the bids essentially scheduled or taken by the end of the year, because the state of Illinois wants to make sure that projects move forward during the 12-month state year. So at December 31st, we owe a report to them basically saying it's either green light or it's red light.
So Steve, is this all because of the bucket not being so full? Is this where it basically starts? The bucket not being so full?
Yes,
in your terms?
there's not enough,
So
there's
is
not
there-
enough at the top to fill the buckets.
So is there a way they could come back in a year or two and still apply for those loans if the bucket gets more full?
The loan
You
is.
have one shot?
They have one shot for accepting the loan, and the interest rate and the amount are guaranteed for the 30 years.
The annexation agreements are capped at 20-year contracts with 30-year loan repayment. Does the EPA have an issue with that?
No, because that's
Is it for us?
that's internal to us. We would be borrowing it for 30 years and hopefully maybe recoup enough in a
the
20-year.
So we have to target a 20-year payback to us.
Yeah.
So we'd be on the hook for like 10 more years of payments.
But we may have recovered enough
Yeah.
money
Recover.
there. Now, every other user that we can get from Mill Creek Edition helps all of us. And I think there's a good probability within a 5 to 10 year period that they'll be experiencing enough problems with their 2 wells in Mill Creek that they'll, you know, because again, if they go back and need to drill a new well as their own association, my understanding is they'll run into problems with Illinois and Rock Island County Health Departments and said, no, tap onto the water main that's right in front of you.
Well, I'm glad that I never had to deal with that, because I wouldn't want to be that one to be getting phone calls in the middle of the night that I put too much chlorine in the well, or that I did something, you know, who wants that responsibility?
No.
This is like zero responsibility where they
Correct.
hook into
They
us.
send a check, we take care of
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah,
And you don't know how the aquifer is on Rainbow Ridge's well to the other 2 wells. If they're on the same aquifer, might not be long where those 2 wells go bad. Versus they're on a separate aquifer, that can make a different story. You can find out easily, I mean, the engineers can, but.
Yeah, and the state, of course, maintains records of what the drill depths are and what aquifers they're into. But so all kinds of practical problems, they would have an assessment against their people. Well, what happens, they have a collection issue, then trying to get everybody to pay up. They say they already have, problems with cash flow right now if people are in arrears on their water bill. Well, we would go out and, unfortunately, we turn people off if they don't pay the bill.
Well, and then think outside the box, if I was over there at Mill Creek, if I knew what aquifer I was on, if I was on the same aquifer that Rainbow Ridge is on, I'd be thinking, hey, I want to get back on the village water and get back and be a pre-annexation in there. So that's something that we meet with, and they need to think about that too.
Now, we believe that Rainbow Ridge and the village both satisfy what's required by the Illinois EPA, because those are reasonable conditions that we're requiring of them to buy water from us. So EPA is loaning us the money to put in the water extensions. And we're telling them that before you start tapping onto Milan water, this isn't anything new. We require of all of our out-of-town users right now is they have to sign an annexation agreement. Even if they never come into the village, that piece of paper is there. This would be the same thing. We don't vary our policy. We're fair to our taxpayers and our customers on our water system. And it provides double the revenue.
So is that water line that's proposed to go out there, is it big enough to handle all of that?
Yes.
Everybody out there?
Everybody out there is on a 12-inch line. The supply is out Knoxville Road on a 12-inch line.
Well, you're talking about the 6-inch line that goes in the addition is what you're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that line gonna be big enough to
Yes.
supply everybody in the future?
Right.
Well,
on?
Milan's, this is the part of the deal that benefits Milan. We get very little benefit other than we pick up a few customers with a 6-inch that goes into the neighborhood because it dead ends. Okay, there's really very little potential to tap onto it and go anywhere. But the 12-inch out on Knoxville Road is consistent with what we've identified a long, long time ago as part of our utility growth
Right.
to serve Southeast.
Yeah.
And we would get that at a deeply subsidized rate if we go forward with this. And the gap financing is largely paid for by the 22 residents in Rainbow Ridge that are paying double the rates.
Anybody got any other questions for Steve's updates on projects?
No, good.
Not? Anything else, Steve?
I think I've exhausted it.
A half hour was good.
Everybody needs to know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll go to number 11, citizens' opportunity to address the village board. Ed, you're signed up, sir.
I noticed over here on East Second, East Third, we got grass that's getting to be right at 30 inches tall. Bob Stewart is one of them here,
And
right behind the funeral home, touches the funeral home. His grass has been cut this year. There's another one over on East Second. I don't know if the home's, nobody living there or not, but that grass hasn't been cut this year.
go ahead, Michelle.
I do know the one on East Second is being addressed currently with Dave.
Pardon?
The one on East Second
Yeah.
is currently being addressed by Dave Perry, our neighborhood improvement officer, because that's across the street from my house, so I've already complained.
Yeah. I don't know that anybody living in there or not.
No, he
But I
usually,
know-
he usually comes and just moves his truck from one spot to another every few days or so.
Yeah. And Rob Stewart over here, I know his grass hasn't been cut. And you can see when you go out and look behind Wheeler Funeral Home, you can see his house.
Does he even own a lawnmower?
Huh?
Does he even own a lawnmower?
I'm not
He's
sure.
not capable of doing it.
Oh, okay.
He's got physical problems,
Oh,
and, he's not capable of doing it. I don't know who's been doing it. His dad kinda gave up on him a couple years ago, so I don't know what the situation is there.
well, there's a couple of young boys right down the street here that mow lawns, and they're really good.
Well, I'll see Gibson tomorrow on another situation like that, and I can bring that up behind the funeral home.
I know he's only on Social Security, I know that much. And,
Is he the one that's in a wheelchair?
No,
no, he's not, I don't know that he's in a wheelchair now.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Michelle says no, okay. That's not the guy I was thinking of then. Anything else, Ed?
No, and then, there's still a television sitting along the East Forks over here, between Second and Third. There's still a television been sitting there since January.
Jesus.
Anything on it?
And I think there's another one up the street, I don't know if it got gone today or not, but there was a big console sitting up there.
Yeah, you drive around, it's amazing what people think the village or somebody's gonna pick up and it's been there for months after months. Yeah.
Wow, I think January is ridiculous.
It is a little ridiculous. And everybody knows, you hear it on TV, you take it over to Scott County and turn it in over there. They just don't want to turn it in.
Does the village offer that?
We offer a once a year pickup for, I think.
But not for
Well,
electronics.
not electronics, no, it's like,
So we don't,
Hazardous waste and electronics, we don't take the liability of that.
We just need to print some $20 signs and put those on when people steal them. $20 for the TV and they'll be gone.
yeah.
I'll put free on it, $20.
anything else, Ed?
No, the other problem I got, I don't think the village can take care of. My sister-in-law lives in William Young's out here, and she is having all kinds of problems getting her mail delivery. It all seems to go to Coin Center. My daughter's tried to straighten it out 3 times, and every time they said the parcel has been delivered for medicines and that, and it all goes to Coin Center somehow.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know how,
I believe it.
because Coin Center's got the same zip code as we got.
Oh,
The only thing I can think of.
It is.
well, that's a mystery.
I
If,
don't know if she can go to the housing, get it straightened out, but my daughter's tried 3 times to get it straightened out on the phone and just can't seem to get it done.
Ed, if she can use her Zip Plus 4 for whoever is shipping her medications and get them to use the Plus 4, that should straighten it out.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of plus 4 would be for the individual apartments. If it'd be a single one for the whole complex.
I don't know either. But even if it is for the whole complex, it makes it unique instead of going out to Oak Grove.
I'll tell Chris when I get home and see if she's been doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Ed. Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor, saying aye.
Okay. And off to the next week then.